What's up again, everybody? Let's talk about the top 10 basic actions that I think will see play going into the new meta. These are ranked, as I said, by likelihood of seeing play in the competitive scene after rotation occurs next month. Let's begin. At number 10, we have Misdirection. I originally had Nefarious Broadcast in this spot, but I dropped it from the list in place of Misdirection as I value the effect of Misdirection and the history of its effectiveness a bit more than Nefarious Broadcast. I expect Misdirection to see some play as an early turn tool for further guaranteeing that an important character is going to hit the field early. The utility of this card means that it could go onto multiple different teams, and as long as you're not looking to trigger a bunch of when-fielded effects, this works well for getting expensive or powerful characters into the field for cheap. At number 9, we have Team Up. I expect to see a few Team Up teams get experimented with as the damage output is just pretty impossible to deal with. The flexibility that Team Up provides with team building is nothing to scoff at, as you could conceivably build aggro and control Team Up teams. This can also make the cut as a secondary win condition on action-based teams as well, and we've already seen that take place in the 2-team takedown tournament that is concluding next week. You know, it's funny, I keep hyping up Team Up and not actually providing anyone with a team list of a Team Up team, so I will get to work on a control and aggro version of a Team Up team. I'll throw them at you and you can tell me what you think. At number 8, we have Villainous Pact. Villainous Pact is a pretty good fit on villain teams as a secondary win condition, as well as a conditional form of ramp. The fact that it plays both roles well means it should see some play on villain control and villain aggro teams. This pairs rather well with the Owlman villain variant that's out there, as you already have hugely buffed attackers with Owlman, and unless your opponent is stocked up on villains as well, then you should be able to connect with lethal after rolling Villainous Pact and getting Owlman out. At number 7, we have Splinters Teachings. The global on Splinters Teachings is a flexible aggro and control piece. It can act as a soft counter to both Mr. Fix-It and Dragon teams, and can be used effectively on aggro teams when you need to push some extra damage with something like an unblockable sidekick. I see it being played on both control and aggro teams, either as a tech against those matchups or as a tool to push at the end on aggro teams. At number 6, we have Improvised Weapon. This is nearly a guaranteed spot on Boom Boom Yanti and Attune teams. Combining this with the common Yanti that becomes unblockable when an action is played means bad things for your opponent. This is also good on triple Attune super rare Yanti teams as a way of pushing Attune damage off of the purchase and use of the action. The only thing keeping this card from climbing higher on the list is the possibility that it does get cut for Investigation on Boom Boom Yanti teams, because Investigation on those teams is pretty sick. Time will tell, but right now it earns the 6th spot on this list. At number 5, we have Insect Plague. This card earns the 5 spot because it very nearly single-handedly makes sidekick teams strong. Making a sidekick or ally unblockable and then buffing them like crazy is a legitimate strategy, and there are enough strong pieces around the sidekick strategy that I see this one being commonplace. This is an auto pick on any Jubilee sidekick aggro team, and I expect those teams to see more and more play going forward, which, as a side note, will increase the inclusion of things like Kate Bishop Hawkingbird in the meta, as you can't block something that's unblockable. Pro tip. Next up, we have Upgrade Proton Cannon in the 4 spot. This is a guaranteed add-on on Fix-It teams and feels at home on Dragon teams as well. It is the first win con on a Fix-It team, with Hellfire Club being the second, and it acts in the same way on Dragon teams. Both of those teams are performing well, with Fix-It being tier 1 and Dragons being borderline tier 1 and tier 2 based on the performance of those teams. Expect to see this card a lot. Overcrush is good. Thanks D&D first set, and by that I of course mean thanks Blade Knight. And by that I of course mean thanks Throne Car and Dr. Octopus from the AVX set. Man, Overcrush has been around for a long time. Top 3, here we go. Next we have Magic Missile, and we'll throw on Powerbolt as well, but for 2 different reasons. Magic Missile has a guaranteed spot on Fix-It teams, and Powerbolt definitely has a guaranteed spot on Boom Boom teams. It's really kind of interesting because Magic Missile has to go on to your Fix-It team, and Boom Boom has to have Powerbolt alongside of it, but when you switch them, when you put Magic Missile on Boom Boom teams, and obviously when you put Powerbolt on Fix-It teams, neither really work very well. But on their individual teams, they are so incredibly powerful that if you didn't have them, you were wasting your time. If you see those teams in competitive play, I would expect to see Powerbolt, and I would expect to see Magic Missile on them. All right, the final 2 I actually switched around in my mind multiple times. I had one in the 2nd spot, and then I switched it to the 1st spot, and then I switched it back to the 2nd spot and back to the 1st spot. So really consider these 2 to be pretty interchangeable because they are both so wonderfully powerful. At number 2, we have Investigation. This card is good on just about every team. It's cheap enough to purchase and use in early turns. It doesn't lose value over time. It can be comboed to insane levels with the spot. It's just super solid. One thing I have not mentioned up until this point is that most of these actions get countered by the presence of an active Scarlet Witch, and I could see how some people would clearly value this less than global-based ramp because of that fact, but keep in mind that globals can also be countered by the rare Wrecker. This card is flexible, awesome, and I see it being a staple on a lot of teams, even with Scarlet Witch being out there stopping all of the burn damage floating around from Boom Boom and Yanti. And at number 1, you may have guessed it already, I put Resurrection, because Resurrection is awesome. Resurrection has unconditional ramp built into a global, and it gives you bag control if you're really good with it. It can go on any team, and it's good on every team. It should see a ton of play, and if you plan to play even a bit competitively, then I would learn how to manage your bag using only Resurrection. I'd also recommend learning how to play your games with double Resurrection in play, both you and your opponent having it, because the player with the better handle and understanding of how their bag works when you resurrect once or twice will have a huge advantage. I mean, it's possible with just Resurrection and no other forms of ramp to win games, and it's singularly because it allows you to ramp one die and also control your bag, control the cycles of your bag. It's really strong, and it's for those reasons why I have put it number 1 on this list. So there you have it. There are the top 10 basic actions that we can expect to see in the competitive scene going into this new rotation. Tell me what you think about this list personally, and tell me what you think about all of the lists that I've put out for this new rotation. The rotation's just around the corner. As I mentioned, it's next month, and I'm curious as to what you think about all of these lists, and if you can think of any other lists that we can make with regards to rotation, any other card types that we haven't really covered. We've done ramp, we've done control, we've done win cons, and now we've done basic actions. So if you have any other ideas of videos you'd want me to make, let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching.